Welcome back, watch fans, and today we are talking about boxes, box and papers. When is it important for Rolex, for Patek Philippe? How much value do box and papers really add? Should you ever buy a Patek Philippe without the box and papers? What about archives? Well, we're going to be talking about all that. Now, before we get into it, on the wrist we have, we got the Patek Philippe Ellipse cufflinks. That's right, the Ellipse cufflinks. Which actually did come with the original box. I got an amazing deal on eBay, crazy price. On the wrist, we have my most valuable watch. It's actually my father's, or could have been his father's watch. Soviet era Moskva. Now, this is made from Glashütte and Langenzoon parts. That's right. That's a whole nother story. But yes, that's right. Technically, this is a Langenzoon or a Glashütte watch. Now, when does box and papers count? When is it important? Look, if you are ever buying a modern Patek Philippe, if you're buying a Patek Philippe like this, perpetual calendar, anything past, let's say 2005, 2004, for Patek Philippe, you gotta have the box and papers. Why is it so important? Well, look, the Patek collectors are not like Rolex people. You know, but Rolex people are catching up. Look, Patek people are very, very particular. They're very, very anal. They want everything. They want. It's almost like if you're buying a Ferrari or Bugatti, right? It's very suspicious if you're buying a Bugatti for $1 million and the guy doesn't have any service records, or there's no Carfax. It's just suspicious, right? Because generally, Patek Philippe people, you're buying an expensive watch, especially in the modern era. In the last 20 years, we're talking about 2004, 2005, people have gotten to understand it. So you got to have the box and papers. Now, sometimes, especially a lot of times, the Asian collectors, like the Chinese, offshore Chinese, not offshore, from off the boat, I call it. But, Chinese from the mainland, right? A lot of times they may not keep the box because they were buying the watch overseas. They didn't want to bring the box back for whatever reason. So all they got is the watch naked. And hopefully they do have the papers. They have, the archives, certificate of origin, all that, which looks like this, right? You got the manuals that come with it. By the way, this is the box. You got the back, the white gold back, the pushers. That's what comes. You got a little winder. That's what comes with the perpetual. This box is just a basic box. And again, listen, to me, the boxes really mean nothing in terms of, like, do I need to keep all these boxes that take up a lot of space, right? But look, when you're collecting watches, people like the full set. It's just a thing. It's just a thing. It's sort of like, people when they collect coins, they like things in perfect condition. You get it, right? Now, take a look at this, right? So this watch is, now if you're buying a vintage piece like this, right? You're buying something vintage. This is 1972 circa, right? And I guarantee you 99% of the time, there is no box and papers, right? But you can order from Patek Philippe. Now, the prices did go up. The prices went up. You get one of these certificates from the archives. It used to be like $150 at FedEx it to you. They raised the price. I think it's like $600 now. So, but it does add value to the watch. Because, look, people just like to have it. Again, Patek people, very, very particular. Again, this is the travel time. And this came from this box. Over here, this box and these papers. Now, what about Rolex? For Rolex, I would say in the last 10 years, maybe not even 10 years. Let's say 5 years. Let's say, I would say post-pandemic, even like 2020. If you're buying a Rolex, let's say 5 years, right? Let's say 2019, 2018. It really should have box papers. So this is the watch. I bought this watch, and it came with everything. It actually was from I don't know if you call it gray market dealer, but it came with everything, right? It came the whole full set. You got the hang tag. The hang tag is people they even like the hang tag, right? A lot of these people, they want that hang tag. And you got, by the way, there is an outer box. Actually, I should say, this is the outer box for Rolex, right? Outer box. Then it comes in this cardboard box, and it's got the green box. Okay, that's what it comes with. JLC, you got the box. You got, especially if you got a watch like this. Again, for any complications, you really do want a full set, because there's usually a manual, right? There's a manual of how to set how to set the time, how to set all the functions, all that stuff, right? There's a whole book on how to set this watch. It's actually not that difficult, but there is a book on how to do it. So, Bottom line, my friends, is for Patek Philippe, you got to have the box and papers from Modern because it's very suspicious if you don't have it. Again, it's like buying a Bugatti with no service records and no Carfax, right? It's unusual. Now we know, for example, Archie Luxury, who claims to be a Patek expert, right? He recently bought a Modern Patek Philippe, travel time, without box and papers, and with a chip on the crystal, which is very suspicious, by the way. Again, I'm not saying anything, but look, we know there's a lot of robberies in the watch world in London, etc. So, it's got a chip. It came back from a service center. It's suspicious, right? Again, I'm not saying anything, but it raises alarm bells. And here's the thing. You're better off with box papers because when it is time to sell, if you're ever going to sell, it is very, very difficult, and it's going to get more and more difficult to sell a Patek watch like this naked without box and paper. So, again, I've seen you can get, how much does it add? For Patek, I believe probably 20%, 20 to 30%. That's a lot of money. 20 to 30% difference with box and papers, with full set. 20 to 30%. That's a lot of money. For Rolex, Rolex is a pretty basic watch. I think for Rolex, I would say box papers adds, for modern watches, maybe 5%, 8%. It's not that much of a big deal. I would say probably the same thing for JLC, whatever. Although you do want, again, for the complications, you really do want to have a full set. Because, again, if it's a complicated watch, we're assuming that the person who owned it was a connoisseur, right? You want somebody who took care of the watch. That's really what it's all about. It's sort of like, that's what it tells us. It tells us who owned it. I want to make sure that the watch, ideally, was worn by somebody who took care of the watch. That's what it's really all about, right? It just tells you that they took care of it. And by the way, if you're ever buying a vintage piece, you're going to notice something very interesting. The guys who have, there's a direct correlation. There is a direct correlation with people who keep full box set and condition of the watch. You ever see these guys on these antique road shows and they have a Daytona from the 1971. The guy bought it on an army base in 1971 in Vietnam, and he kept everything, the receipt, everything, right? That watch is always going to be in perfect condition. Why? It's just the way it is, right? Look, Porsche collectors, even Porsche people, they're particular, right? They're very particular. They want to, and by the way, vintage people, they want to make sure everything is original. It's just the way it is, right? So there's a direct correlation between somebody who has, who keeps everything. They're very anal, very particular, and the watch was serviced, it was taken care of. It wasn't dropped in a muddy puddle, that type of thing, right? Now, here is a Rolex from. By the way, this is the Rehart. No holes case. So this is like 2007 or so, 2006. For this, you really don't need the box papers. It's nice. It probably adds some value, but I bought this with a box only. And by the way, the box only thing is bullshit. Box only is, to me, it adds absolutely nothing. Like, I really don't want to pay extra for the box. If you're going to sell me a Rolex with just the box, this green box, it means nothing to me. And by the way, this did come with just a generic box. What do I need that for? I have the box. I'm not even showing it because it means absolutely nothing, right? I want to have this little card here. I want to have this little card with the serial number and all that, right? That's valuable. The box itself means nothing, right? I'd rather have the paperwork and even the original receipt than the box, than this green box, right? That's the reality. And yeah, for Patek, look, as long as you have the certificate of origin, the little certificate of origin, you got this thing over here in a little folder, nice little vinyl, cheap, nasty vinyl folder. It's good enough, okay? It's really good enough. For example, if I was buying this watch, I'd be okay if it just came with just this. I'd be perfectly happy. This is not that necessary. It's nice. Probably adds $300-400. Here in this case, it's a couple $1,000s because these winders are actually collectible. Like, these cases are collectible. And again, a little pusher is valuable. This thing is probably $1. But and again, you got the white gold over there. So that's it. That's what it is, guys. Bottom line is, I don't know. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments, questions below. Make sure, again, you subscribe to the channel. You subscribe to the channel. And look at this. Let me just open up this. I'm going to open up the Patek cufflinks box. The Patek cufflinks box. That's right. This is what these came in. Yeah, I think I bought these on eBay. Would you believe it? Would you believe it, for about $600? I think it was about 5 years ago. Yeah, and outer box. Look at that. Full set. Full set. Again, the box is like made out of paper, basically. It's nothing. But again, the Patek people are particular. They're particular. They like that stuff, right? So it adds value. It adds value. Again, the Patek boxes by themselves, like this thing, probably worth $500 just for the cardboard. I know it's crazy. It is what it is. So, guys, for Patek, bottom line, you got to have box papers for modern watches, or at least the papers, the main papers. You got to have certificate of origin. Now, for vintage watches, it's nice. It's nice to have. It's nice to have the archives, the archive stuff. It's nice to have it, especially the more valuable the watch is. I mean, this is not that. I mean, this is like a, I don't know. You know, it's hard to say value. It's, you know, I'm saying it's worth about $5-6 grand. Could be more, $6 grand, let's say. That's it. All right, I think I wrapped it up. Again, leave your comments, questions below. If you want to join the channel, you get access to our member-only content. You become an aristocrat. That's right. You become a baron. Member-only content, and when you leave your comments, your nasty and vicious comments, everybody will know that your comment was left by an aristocrat. Unbelievable, but true.